And just like that, Aaron Gordon is back, and the Denver Nuggets have their core four locked in place for at least the next two seasons. We got to talk about why Aaron Gordon decided to take a pay cut to stay here in Denver. What are the implications for the Denver Nuggets a couple years down the line, and what this means for this upcoming season in the chase for title number 2. We're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swiper. This is your team every day. Shout out. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We are already going live in the chat. Everybody is locked in, excited about this news for Aaron Gordon re-signing with the Denver Nuggets. Yo, this is big news. Big news for Mr. Nugget. Big news for Aaron Gordon and the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, he gets his live partner back. Jamal Murray gets his ace in the hole back. And then now, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, all locked in for the next couple of seasons. Y'all, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Y'all, let's get it. So here's where we are. We get the news yesterday that Aaron Gordon re-signs with the Denver Nuggets. Aaron Gordon re-signs for a 4-year, $133 million contract extension with the Denver Nuggets. Shams Charania said Denver Nuggets forward Aaron Gordon has agreed to a 4-year, $133 million contract extension with the franchise with a player option in the 2028-29 season and a trade kicker. Clutch Sports agent Calvin Andrews and Rich Paul and Elise Gordon told ESPN. So this is where we are. Aaron Gordon had been eligible for a couple of months now for an extension with the Denver Nuggets. He could have opted in for a 4-year, $150 million max extension where he was, but he decided that instead of doing that, he wants to be able to re-sign with the Denver Nuggets and to give them a little bit of flexibility. And so one of the cool things that happened about this deal is that on October 21st, that was the deadline. That was the deadline for Aaron Gordon to re-sign with the Denver Nuggets while being able to opt into his player option. And so what happens is, because Aaron Gordon did that prior to and took $133 million, he takes a $17 million pay cut on this deal to stay with Denver and get his yearly average down to $33 million, which gives them a lot of flexibility for the next couple of seasons. And this is really important, especially with the Nuggets still trying to put a title team together. So from Bobby Marks 42 on Twitter, he said the deadline for Gordon to opt in and extend was Monday night. Gordon has a $22.8 million and a $22.8 million left on his contract, and Denver gets significant savings next season by Gordon extending starting in 2026, 2027. The Nuggets are now $7.1 million below the second apron next season. And why is that such a big deal? That is so important for a team that has steadily lost talent over the last couple of years because of the new CBA agreement. For instance, not being able to re-sign Bruce Brown for anything more than, I think, $7.7 million 2 off seasons ago, and then he goes to the Pacers for $22.5 million. He's now with the Raptors. That also worked against them with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. KCP, they were eligible to resign him for anything because they could have just simply matched the offer and gave him what he needed. But in this instance, he gets $22 million a year annually from the Orlando Magic. And the Denver Nuggets, they're basically looking at this and saying, do we feel like we can pay KCP this money, retain our starting 5, which we would have, but then also do we have flexibility to change our team if indeed something happens to one of the starters? And they said, well, no. So then we're going to let KCP go. We believe that we can get a decent approximation of what KCP is in Christian Brown. And so then Christian or Julian Strawther, according to Coach Michael Malone, there's still an open competition at the 2 guard. Either one of them is going to slot into that spot. So from there, How do the Denver Nuggets find ways to manage their roster? And so the question now came to Aaron Gordon because it was his time. This is his moment. So where we are with Aaron Gordon is a pivotal part of this team. Aaron Gordon is one of the sole reasons why they won the NBA title. He is why they have been a contender for the last couple of seasons, and including versus the Timberwolves. He didn't have a great game 7, but Aaron Gordon was really good in spots in this series in making his threes, playing really stout defense on Karl-Anthony Towns. And then remember, 2023, Aaron Gordon guarded Karl-Anthony Towns. He guarded Anthony Edwards. He guarded Devin Booker, guarded Kevin Durant, guarded LeBron James, guarded Anthony Davis, guarded Bam Adebayo, guarded Jimmy Butler. You're just not going to find a lot of people that has the ability to be able to play like that, and especially be able to play in space versus quicker guards. Aaron Gordon just has one of the most unique skill sets in the NBA, and so the Nuggets wanted to make sure they locked that in, but they also wanted to make sure they secure flexibility. And so this is two sides in the Denver Nuggets and their cap management, and Aaron Gordon and wanting to secure the long-term value for his play. And that way he's getting his family the money they need. He's taking care of generations to come. Aaron Gordon has been able to find a means between, I'm going to make sure I'm taking care of my family, generational wealth, but on the other end, I'm going to stay with my guys, but I'm going to make sure we get an opportunity to build. That is like so rare in the NBA that you will find a guy at the apex of his powers that simply says the team means more to me than it means making as much money as possible. And I don't think there's anything wrong, by the way, with having that mentality. You only got one run through the NBA in your career. You need to make as much money as possible. But Aaron Gordon decided that this is enough for me. And then with that, I'm going to be able to re-sign with this team, and I'm going to be able to give them 4 more years of great basketball, and especially next to Joker. You know, yesterday when the deal got signed, I shared a video of starting with Katie Wingy, the great Katie Wingy, asking Aaron Gordon the question. And basically just where did he get his selflessness from? And Aaron Gordon just talked about this idea of playing next to Joker, a 3-time MVP, and if he can be selfless, I can be. And then you get highlights of them throwing lobs and catching lobs together. And Aaron Gordon has just showed so much grit and fight and love within the city. And, you know, one of the most famous memories from winning the championship in 23 is when Aaron Gordon is walking through the streets of Denver shirtless, and he's just being greeted by the crowd and just being loved and supported throughout the city. And Aaron Gordon, he just has that kind of place. He just has that kind of place in the city's heart. And so it's so important that he was able to secure his money. Calvin Booth, man, worked out an incredible deal in order to get this done, and that gives them real flexibility going forward. And I just think that this should be the model. This should be the model of the Nuggets. We take care of our guys. Jamal Murray got a $208 million extension. Aaron Gordon gets a $133 million extension. Nikola Jokic got basically a $276 million, I believe is what it was. I can't remember the exact number was on that last extension he signed. You know, then obviously Michael Porter Jr. got his extension at the end of the 2020-21 season. And Denver has shown that if you develop and you work hard and you take care of business and you represent yourself well in the community and you got the numbers to perform on the court, we will take care of you. And that's one of the best parts about this organization. I think the players, they know that if they come here and they take care of business, they will have opportunity. And Aaron Gordon is further proof of that. Noah, I saw some of this on the timeline, you know, where people were basically trying to say that this is an overpay for the Denver Nuggets. But y'all, if you remember just a few years ago, at the end of the 2020-21 season, Aaron Gordon got a 4-year, $92 million extension. And at the time, people were saying that it was an overpay because he wasn't like a offensive threat. He's not a primary scorer, all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. Look, Aaron Gordon proved that that was an underpay. Like, he was worth more money than that. And then Aaron Gordon now making $33 million a year, I also believe he's going to prove that he's worth more than that. And one of the things that he did to secure his vantage in this situation is that Aaron Gordon took this deal but got a trade kicker in place that in case the Nuggets do try to move him, his salary goes up. I mean, typically that trade kicker is around 15%, so I don't know the exact percentage on that, but I imagine it will be around there. And then on the other end of this, he gets a player option that also gives him the flexibility that should Aaron Gordon, let's say the next 4 years, he's like maintaining, right? And he's playing super well going into this 34 season. He wants to get another bag. This is an opportunity for him to do it. Aaron Gordon's 29 right now. Jokic is 29 right now. Murray is 27. And then Michael Porter Jr. is 26. So they're like all in the thick of their prime. Maybe not Mike, but everybody should be in the thick of their prime. Murray should really be like taking his first year into his prime. And so I think AG being able to line up alongside of the rest of the contract is just really big overall for this team. So I am just personally really excited about this. I'm personally really excited about how this works for the Denver Nuggets and works for Aaron Gordon. I think this is huge news for him and for the team. But y'all, we got to talk about what does this mean for the Nuggets going forward? What does this mean for Aaron Gordon going forward? How are they going to be able to utilize this window? And then how might this help them as they're continuing to try to build towards championship number 2? Y'all, we'll talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Y'all, the Denver Broncos are 4-3. They have become a sneaky hit on FanDuel, y'all. So you might want to check it out. Right now, the NBA season is getting ready to start. You want to put some futures bets down on the Denver Nuggets. How much do you believe in them? Are they a championship favorite? Are they going to make it out of the West? Does Jokic win an MVP? Is Coach Malone a Coach of the Year candidate? Is Julian Strawther? Is he going to be the 6th man of the year in the NBA? That one's actually interesting. But you can do all that on FanDuel. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Y'all, we'll be right back for more here on Locked On Nuggets. What's going on, y'all? We are back here for Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swiper. This is your team every day. Thank y'all so much for being here. Aaron Gordon re-signs with the Denver Nuggets for 4 years, $133 million. What a deal for such a great player. Y'all, if you're on the audio side, make sure you give us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes. That way more and more people can hear about the great content being made here on Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, if you're on the YouTube side, give us a like, share, and subscribe. I want to see if we can get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of next year. Yo, Ryan Blackburn, Matt Moore, and myself, we're doing our best to give you the best Denver Nuggets content you can ask for. Y'all, this is a huge, huge, huge deal for this team. Because you know what? Given all of the frantic energy surrounding the team, ESPN saying they're going to win 46 games. Some people saying they're not contenders in the Western Conference. Some people saying that is Jokic really the best player in the world. Some people saying that Aaron Gordon is not good enough. Jamal Murray, not good enough. That was a thing in the past. Michael Porter Jr., not good enough. There's been so many narratives. Michael Malone, his voice just not being heard in the locker room. I've heard so many different things. And this is from just fans, from analysts, people on national television. But here's the thing. Knowing that going into a season, you don't have to worry about your money. You don't have to worry about your boy not having signed and so therefore playing differently, not being willing to dive on the floor, not being willing to do the small things. You don't got to worry about none of that. The Nuggets know that if everything is in front of them, all they have to do is do their job and they can win another title. All they have to do is show up, give great effort, play with each other, play consistently, trust one another. They can win another title. And what I love about this is Aaron Gordon is not a homegrown prospect with Denver, but he feels like it. You know, we didn't get him until 2021. So 2014, he's a top 5 pick in the NBA draft, comes into the league, really good defender, but then has kind of a really up and down tenure with the Magic because he's out of position, out of a role. Like the team was just not good around him. But then the Nuggets get him. They trade Gary Harris, who was a staple here in Denver, drafted in 2014. They trade a first-round pick. They trade R.J. Hampton, who they really liked coming out of the draft. And they just said, we need to get bigger. We need more athleticism. We need to give Nikola Jokic somebody that can cover up for him as a backside defender, that can be an on-ball wing defender, and somebody that can be another offensive threat for this team. And Aaron Gordon has proven that. And what I love about the way Denver has operated is that for a player, if you do your job, you exceed expectation, you do what you're supposed to do, you help us win, we'll take care of you. Did it with Jamal, post-ACL injury. They did it with Jamal now, then giving him another extension. They're doing it with Jokic, obviously, the reporter. Like, there are just things that I think the team is doing to give itself credibility with its players that matters a lot. And y'all, I cannot understate this. That stuff matters so much in determining who ultimately will win, which teams will be successful, and which teams have roadblocks and challenges they got to overcome all year. Because there's so much of this is about building the culture. And the Nuggets have continued to show that our culture is going to be player-centric. Our culture is going to be, how do we have as close to a family dynamic as possible? We want to support one another. And so that's why they're here. And I just think that when you're just kind of accounting all this together, man, like, the Nuggets are just going to have more flexibility and more opportunities to continue to build and shape. Because right now, Christian Brown, Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson, those are year 3 and year 2 players. Deron Holmes comes back. He's going to be a rookie next year, even though it's going to be year 2 post the Achilles tear. And then they're going to have another influx of young talent. But now it's about how you find veterans that are able to step into your unit, step into the team, and perform at the level that you need them to in order to get to the finals, to win a championship. And they're going to have the ability to do that because they're going to be under the second apron next year. And if Aaron Gordon doesn't do what he did, all of that flexibility is gone. But again, stress this. If he did decide to sign for $150 million, and I'm not taking a penny less, then he would have been absolutely within his right to. It's really only athletes that, because of the way the conversation around athletes work and because of the conversation around their check works, it's like, all right, well, they should take pay cuts because we want them to win championships. If you really want to win a championship, then, hey, you'll take a pay cut. It's like, well, it's not that easy. Like, Aaron Gordon leaving $17 million on the table, like, okay, take 50% off of that. Yo, $8.5 million that you're leaving on the table, like, that you pocket, that's a big deal. So I don't ever want to besmirch anyone for not being willing to do that, because that is something that you have to really sit with and wrestle with. But, AG, the great thing about him being in Denver, man, I mean, by the end of his contract, Lord willing, he's going to have made, $245 million in Denver, and he's going to have earned every single part of it. And this is going to be like one of the best trades that have worked out in modern NBA history because of his fit, the way he thinks, and the way the team really identifies with him and the way they really like him. And I just think that a lot of the narrative surrounding this year, and we'll talk about this more on the other side, because we're going to get into, look, the NBA is just 2 more nights away, y'all, for the Denver Nuggets at least. We get opening night tonight. Got some really great games on the table. We're going to have Boston Celtics getting the ring versus the New York Knicks. And then we're going to have the Lakers versus the Timberwolves. And then we're going to get to Thursday, and the Denver Nuggets are playing versus OKC at home. So we're right on the cusp of, I think, solidifying the Nuggets as one of the real true contenders in the Western Conference and in the NBA, or are all their small changes, the rosters, KCP being gone, is all that going to weigh on them? And are they just not going to be able to be a team that can function and perform up to snuff? But again, that's all stuff that's to be speculated on and to be proven. But I'm really encouraged by the Aaron Gordon deal. I just think that there are going to be so many components to this. And y'all, I think one of the biggest ones is Jokic likes Aaron Gordon. They have a legitimate friendship. Aaron Gordon went to Serbia to spend time with Joker. We have video, like we have pictures of them together. Aaron Gordon was on the horse racing track holding up the trophy in Serbia. So a part of keeping your core together is just keeping your best player happy and making sure that the people he is closest to, that they have what they need. And I also say this, one of the things, to be fair, Denver with the cap going up 10% will make this deal cheap. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that in the first segment, but yeah, the cap is going to go up every year. And an additional 10% is a lot of money. And by the time you get to the end of AG's contract, I mean, you're going to be paying less than $30 million. Well, in terms of the cap hit, the similar percentage cap hit that will be happening now, that will happen at that point in time, is less than $30 million. I can't remember what the exact number is, but think about that. Like, that's mad cheap for somebody as talented and as important to your team as AG is. So Again, just an all the way around out of the ballpark hit for Calvin Booth and then for Aaron Gordon. And I think this is going to go really far for the Denver Nuggets this upcoming season. Y'all, in the last segment, we are just 2 nights away. 2 nights. By the time you listen to us, maybe 1 night. Just 2 nights away from the opening of the Denver Nuggets season. Y'all, we're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, there's a lot happening right now. And, you know, there are some of us that are in relationships. There are some of us that have new jobs. There are some of us that just even the stress of sports, life in general. There's always something you have to be concerned about. And with that, added pressure, added stress, added anxiety, it doesn't always leave you to feel like your most optimum self. You know, a lot of us are trying to figure out ways to like invest in, you know, it's Halloween, you know, we want to do stuff, we want to do stuff with our friends, but we're just feeling bogged down because of all the things that are happening in life. But y'all, sometimes you just need to really give yourself a shot to sit down and talk to somebody to help you. And y'all, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, y'all. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first purchase. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. We'll be right back for more here on Locked On Nuggets. We are back here for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets, and this is your host, Swiper. This is your team every day. And y'all, the NBA season is back. It's back. We made it 4 months. 4 whole months. 4 whole months without real, true NBA basketball. We haven't seen the Denver Nuggets play basketball for a real game since May. It's been a long time since we've gotten some real NBA basketball. It's been, for the Nuggets, it's been 5. For the Celtics, it's been 4. And this is going to be such an incredible opportunity for Denver to get the season started right, because they're going to play against a team everybody right now is saying it's a prohibited favorite coming out of the Western Conference. Prohibited favorite coming out of the West. But they're going to be able to set the tone real early. That as good as everybody thinks they are, and as bad as everybody seems to think we are, we're going to have so much to say about that conversation. And opening up versus the Thunder, playing versus the Clippers, James Harden, and no Kawhi Leonard, playing versus Toronto, versus Brooklyn, versus Minnesota, versus Utah, versus Toronto, versus OKC. Those are all games, man, that are going to be winnable, but they're also going to test the Denver Nuggets in different ways. And that first test with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Cason Wallace. I mean, they're stacked. Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Isaiah Hartenstein was there, but he's dealing with an injury right now. He's going to miss at least a few weeks. The Thunder are stacked. Don't get me wrong. Mark Daigneault is one of the best coaches in the league. He deserves every bit of praise that he gets. He's special. But one of the things that I think, and I've been talking to so many people about this, man, they're so concerned with the Denver Nuggets. They're so concerned with the roster, so concerned with the development of the young players and their identities and all that stuff. And I'm just sitting here like, look, the Nuggets core 4 is one of the best in the league. Everyone knows that. The Nuggets' 5th starter is what makes them even more special. It's the fact that they're able to have this crazy core 4, but then they also have a 5th player that's able to really fit the identity and the structure of the offense socially, in terms of the hierarchy, but also somebody who knows, like, okay, I got to be the ultimate play finisher as a 3-point shooter, or as a rim runner, lob threat, or as a DHO midline guy, all that stuff. And so I do think people have overreacted just a little bit, because there's just a lot to a team that knows who it is, knows what its identity is, and is committed to that identity. Those are not things that you get often. And the Nuggets have displayed that's exactly what they have. But if we can just talk a little bit about the OKC matchup, because I'm not going to be here. I'll be here with you on Thursday, and then I imagine we can talk a little bit more. I think it might be Ryan and I that day. But when I look at this OKC Thunder team, man, this is a team that can get after you. They got really good shot making in SGA and J-Dub. They have really good three-point shooters, even Cason Wallen coming off the bench. But as it stands currently, they're not unproven because they were the number one seed last year. But as it stands currently, there are just not a lot of people that are, I think, ready to just kind of go with the prognosis of if you have the best player in the world and then you have a core four and you have like a really, really, really good number two overall, like a secondary player, then the conversation around you should look drastically different than what it is. I mean, people legitimately are saying the Nuggets might not make the playoffs, which is just wild to me. You know, people are saying the Nuggets are going to fall to the 6th seed, which again, if everybody's healthy, relative healthy, I mean 65 or around games, then again, like I'm also like, yo, it's just the overreactions. But I think that if you're looking at them versus OKC has a lot of really good matchups. They got a lot of really strong points. Their shot making is really good. Their defense is really good. But yo, this team, the Nuggets, has the ability to be able to put that team in a chokehold by nature of its aggressiveness, by nature of its size, and then its defense. You're going to have to be able to really play very smartly. And so I think that's going to be one of the things, you know, controlling the pace, controlling the ball. Even just this last couple weeks ago, I mean, the Nuggets had like crazy amount of turnovers versus OKC. Like controlling the possession is going to be fundamental to what's happening on Thursday. Now, again, I want to say this. The Nuggets have been doing a lot of trials, you know, running different kinds of offense and having different things that are going on because, you know, they're trying to stimulate as many game time situations as possible, which is what you're supposed to do. So it's made them look a little sloppier than what they actually are. But man, I think that the Nuggets, if they were to be able to come away with a win, even if it's in Denver, I think people would start to slowly change their tune about the team. Meaning, I think I might have overreacted. I think them losing KCP was just an overreaction, and I just couldn't do it. And I'm really, really excited. I'm really, really excited to kind of see how the team responds. Because if you listen to Jamal Murray, I don't even know if I've been here since that interview. I don't think I have. But Jamal Murray had an interview on the side with Katie Wingy. And basically, you know, it was kind of brought to his attention that people were worried about like the injury and all that stuff. He said, I'm fine. I've been fine. You know, the preseason is about like integrating the rest of the roster. Like, what else do I need to do, basically? You know, and so he doesn't end up doing, you know, what people thought he should. He has one really good game in the playoffs. But then from that point on, I think Jamal Murray has shown since that game that I'm good. I'm ready. And I got something in me to get out this year. And that's what I want to see from the team. Like, what's their fire going to be like opening tip? What's their fire going to be like in the fourth quarter? What's Jokic's fire going to be like? You know, how does he hold the team accountable? You know, what are the things that need to be done? What are the strategies? Like, how aggressive will they be? That's all stuff I want to see. The rotation, is Russ coming straight in for Christian Brown? Or is Julian Strawther? Are they coming straight in for someone else? Are they, you know, feeling in these ops and in these spaces and all that stuff? Like, these are all questions that will be answered. But a lot of what I need to see from the Nuggets is about their level of overall assertiveness. Like dictating tempo, dictating pace, dictating physicality, dictating rebounding. Like doing stuff that you know that will help and that you're good at. And so there's just so much that I think is to be wanted and expected from this team. And I think it starts with Joker. I think Joker needs to come out with a level of intensity. Let me go ahead and just start getting it type thing. Like, I need to just go and attack Chet. You know, some of this can be Jamal Murray getting a rhythm early in the first quarter, you know, whether it's Caruso, whether it's Lou Dort, whoever else it is, you know, just finding ways to like operate and get going and get doing what they need to do. Like, all that stuff is important. So I'm super excited about it. I think that the Denver Nuggets have the energy and they're going to have the play to reflect that. But man, Aaron Gordon re-signing, huge news for the Denver Nuggets. Y'all know what time it is. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on Apple iTunes and you give us a 5-star review on the way. Y'all know what time it is. Swipe a gang, Locked On Nuggets. Let's get it. Denver Nuggets, Aaron Gordon. We back.